This is a Podco original.
What is your earliest experience with depression? It felt like an appropriate response to life.
Yeah, we had great calls about just like, dude.
I'm just sending memes in the group chat.
Let's go.
We're not psychiatrists,
Yeah,
right?
no, definitely
So
not.
we can't-
Massive disclaimer, dude.
Yeah.
I don't think any adult fully prepared us for how complicated it feels to grow up. Hi.
Hey! Back again.
Hey.
Back again. Nostalgia for you. Lindsay, for those who are listening and can't see, she's wearing a Clarissa Explains It All
That is
t-shirt.
amazing, dude. That's a
Love
good
that
get.
show.
And what can we say? Like nobody under, like how is the millennial gap closing? Like nobody under 27?
Most of our audience probably doesn't know what Clarissa,
Yeah, no,
Clarissa
that was
explains
even
at
more
all.
my sisters. My sister's
yeah,
like 7
exactly.
years older than me.
It was mine. It was my era, you guys.
I
Right.
used to love it. She turned
40.
into that Silver Surfer goop and then slink underneath the...
Nope, that was Alex Mack.
Oh, no, I was wrong. Oh, good Lord.
No, Clarissa was like fucking Ned,
Mother
bro.
was. She was
Clarissa,
Ned.
what,
To the
she broke
camera.
the fourth
She
wall.
broke the fourth wall. in
Melissa
her
Joan
room.
Hart. Melissa Joan Hart.
Wow.
Dude, what
David
a...
Kendall produced Melissa and Joey.
That's right.
Yeah.
Dude, she was...
Wow.
I mean...
She was huge. Huge.
Oh.
Yeah, Melissa Joan Hart, man.
Damn. So
out
Clarissa
Melissa.
Explains It All. Love it.
Yeah, love it. How you guys doing?
I'm good. We're hanging in there. Yeah,
Doing good,
nice.
man. Doing good.
How's our community doing? Are we going to take some questions from the community?
Yeah, so hey guys, we have another, what are we calling these episodes? Guides? Are they guides? Are they...
I think guides is good.
Yeah, this is the Neds guide to themes that we all go through. So, yes, we're gonna do an episode where we explore something that all of us are dealing with. We have found...
Hemorrhoids. Daniel, now I know for
It's like
sure.
I reached at my buttock. She's like, what you doing down there?
I mean, I know we've felt it since doing this podcast.
Hemorrhoids?
Yeah, that had
I'm
to,
sorry.
had
I'm
to.
sorry. Hey.
Here we are. But we're getting back on track, guys.
Sorry. Okay.
What was that about bits, Lindsay?
I've learned that my whole life doesn't have to be a bit. Okay, go on.
We're learning. So we have learned, I think since doing this podcast, I know I have learned talking about my fucking life with you guys and some of my fucking struggles and like hearing your experience. My God, does it give me like some place in the world and in myself? It makes me like not feel so fucking like lost in the current, you know?
Yeah.
Like it's grounding to talk about these things and know that you're experiencing it in your way and you're experiencing it in your way. And like, oh fuck, we can talk about it seriously. We can laugh about it. Like all these things, like it's been so fucking beneficial. So we wanted to open that up to you guys, the audience as well, and discuss the struggles that we're all fucking going through and give you guys an experience to write to us. We'll share some of the comments and ultimately we will open up a discussion amongst ourselves that we hope you resonate with. So today's theme is a big one and you guys had a lot to share on this, which is depression and anxiety.
Woof.
Depression and anxiety.
Woof, man. If you don't follow us or subscribe to us on YouTube already and you'd like to kind of join these conversations, you can go to our community tab on the Neds Pod YouTube, and that's where we post basically the theme and ask for your insight and stories, where we'll read a couple. Are you farting, dog?
He just pulled that
Someone
from
must see a
deep
pool
under
of
his
foam
ball
from the
sack.
seat and sounded like a
Anyway,
fart.
depression.
Anyway, Daniel's ball sack, depression, Lindsay,
Yes.
go.
Depression is a thing.
What is your earliest experience with depression?
My earliest experience with depression was us breaking up. Us breaking up, and I went and became friends with somebody else who, and I started smoking weed. And I just sort of like codependently attached to another person to help me not feel that pain, which I've said on the pod before, just our breakup, you were the next male figure in my life besides my dad, who I'd been kind of rejected and abandoned by it a little bit. Like he wasn't totally not there, but it wasn't like a father figure relationship. And so that triggered all of those feelings of just, him not wanting me or whatever, all those feelings of not being wanted. And so it was crazy. Not only did I break up with you, but I stopped being friends with Carly and Rob that day. And so I was just using and I just didn't I was with her the person that I started hanging out with, I was with them every second. Yeah. Just because that's when the whole codependent thing started. Like I couldn't be alone, and then I couldn't be without substances, and then so it started something. And if I had just stopped the first domino, if I had just looked then, but it just compounded. And when my professional life was successful and you're being rewarded, even though you act this way and feel this way in your personal life, nothing's wrong because you're still making money to do whatever you want. Right. And then that was just making money to buy more drugs, and there was no personal life coming off of that. It was horrible. And so that's when that depression started, and then I think was greatly compounded by drug use and alcohol and all of it.
For sure. Dan, have I don't say this to be a dick.
Go ahead.
Have you experienced depression? Do you think you've experienced depression?
Man, it's tough because I try to treat my life always like bits, like how we were just mentioning, and I've always tried to find the humor in those moments. But I have had bouts of depression that have lasted a long time. Now, I don't want to get on here and say I've had major depressive, some syndrome that really needs psychiatric.
Yeah, I think there's a difference between I think there's a difference between major depressive disorder, clinical depression, and depression.
So
and experience of a time
it
of
is a
depression.
spectrum too. Yeah. It's also a scale. Yeah. So even if
you're
you're on
allowed
the
to
lower
share
end,
your experience of it.
And I just go into it acknowledging that, same with smoking marijuana and stuff like that. Sometimes you can fluctuate into depressive moods, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you have that depressive, major depressive disorder, as described by the DSMV, yada yada yada. Yeah. But yes, I've definitely experienced it, and it's often come from feeling like a lack of worth in the greater world. My contribution to society is not amounting to something that was worth my existence. I've battled with that, man. Productivity is a big thing to me. And when I get into moments where I'm questioning the productivity that I'm currently involved in, why should I keep going it this way? And if I'm this far behind already, why even, continue?
Try.
So I have battled with it. Absolutely. And I think it's a human thing because we're not here given direction. So that freedom sometimes is a tough thing to deal with. You have to find something to do with
freedom
yourself.
Is killing me. Straight up.
What instigated maybe your one of your earlier early experiences of depression? Yeah.
We talk about my brother calling me fat all the time. that was a big one.
Oh God,
Dan. We're here to be honest.
Yes, be real.
I love my brother. I always say this,
hurts
but
my soul.
It's just factual. Just feeling like, you are missing the mark socially.
Right.
So I think that was it. And then it's what is it in me? Then it's okay, I need to change these things about me. Now, sometimes that can be a positive catalyst. That's why I say a quick depressive mood, to cause you to change something about yourself, then why not? Because that got me into exercise and, yada, yada, yada. So I felt like I could take the reins of that and change myself enough, but I didn't have to try to change myself and be someone else.
Right.
Everybody's biology works differently, yada, yada, yada. So I wasn't going to get ripped like this guy whose metabolism's super high.
Right.
But that was my first introduction to some type of depression. The next was, I think, being in the acting world and trying to, or being pushed towards the leading man roles and stuff like that. And I'm like, that might not be my vibe. Managers trying to push me in that direction, dad trying to push me in that direction. And I'm like, doesn't feel good. And also don't even know if acting's what I want to do. then I felt super depressed because it was like I felt like I had wasted time being a part of kids television, working on Neds Declassified 3 years of my life, Zeke and Luther, another like 3 or whatever, then feeling like I was behind on other things that I could have acclimated myself to. So occupationally, I reached a depressive state there too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many.
And then the diet. Where was the diet in all of this? That was circumstantial kind of depression, or
it was a mix of both. Yeah, the
raw vegan diet.
A little bit.
Yeah.
No, just the raw vegan diet you were on also kind of sent you into a place,
well,
right?
That was
more psychosis than depression.
Exactly.
Well,
Dude,
it was triggered by environmental triggers.
Right.
Sure. Like I mentioned, growing up as an African American man in the United States of America, what does that all mean for me? And then the productivity that I'm participating in is productivity for who? Is this going to benefit my family in the long run? Am I being the best person for my culture, or is it all just me being a consumer in the world and giving in to the vanity that has been pushed on me? What am I doing here, and of what worth is it? Was one of my biggest questions.
See, it's not always the case, but sometimes like that depression that you're describing, like sometimes it feels like it is when you really look at it, it's coming from like a big worthy question about life. Like if you get stuck in it too long, like, yeah, maybe you're taking yourself too seriously or too important, but I don't know, like that is like, that to me feels like a worthy phase in your life, because you're asking a big question and you're feeling stuck on what the answer is and where to go and what your place is in that. Like that to me is like an appropriate reason to be depressed a little bit, like if I feel like I don't have a place and I don't know where to put my energy to progress, and like, do I have value? Like, yeah, fuck those questions and not answering them. Like depression seems like kind of an appropriate outcome of those questions.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you're supposed to not ask them or, I don't know.
That's where then I'm like, certain depressive moods and moments are acceptable.
Yeah.
And that's why and I looked up the DSM-5, like kind of, what's the breakdown of it actually becoming a mental disorder? When does a depressive moment or mood become a mental disorder? And they're saying that,
what do you got?
Low mood, but it has to be low mood
for X amount of time.
And then anhedonia. Have you heard of that? Anhedonia? Anhedonia is when things that used to bring you pleasure,
joy don't bring you any anymore.
No longer do. So like, even if you were in that depressive state, can something that was once a pick me up do that for you? And if not, then you're teetering on the
depressive disorder.
Yeah. Yep. And then they have like weight gain, weight loss is something that often happens and is associated with it. Wow, more than I knew. Sleep disturbance, and then fatigue, low energy. So that kind of apathy about life.
I know I'm depressed when fucking answering someone's text takes all my energy. That's when I know, like, oh fuck, I gotta like check in. Something's up. If for an extended period of time, simple tasks are taking all of my energy, it's because I'm not realizing, like I'm depressed. Like something is weighing on me and it's taking all my energy. So anything outside of me fucking ruminating in this mood is taking, like lifting 1,000 pounds,
Yeah.
That's usually like a little marker for me. I'm like, oh, I'm fucking struggling, and I didn't maybe realize it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. They classify a disorder though as something that keeps you from living and functioning in your daily life. So, feel extended like depression and being depressed, I feel like can be two different things. I feel like being depressed can last for, few hours, days, a week. Yeah. But depression is something that starts to affect what you actually go out and do.
Yeah.
Yes, I would say I have major depression.
Yeah.
But it's, like I said, it's highly functional.
Yeah. I'm a highly functional when I'm depressed.
Yeah.
You're highly functional. I got you.
When I'm able to handle my responsibilities mostly, but Jesus, then I get like when I'm in a season of it, like, man, then as soon as I'm alone, like my Devon mask and persona. Just as soon as I'm alone, when I'm in one of these seasons, like fuck, I just sit and go. I feel like I don't know what I feel. I feel nothing.
I try to bury my head in productivity and work, and that's my coping mechanism. But I do realize it is a coping.
It's a good one. It's a good coping
better than nothing.
The anhedonia thing, the losing pleasure from things that used to bring you pleasure. I mean, that is enough to walk yourself off a cliff. Like it's enough to be like, oh, there's nothing. There's nothing. There's no amount of Celsius. There's no amount of cigarettes. There's no nothing. Like you have to find something to keep going. You know what I mean? And that's usually the impetus of like having a meeting or coming to work or XYZ. But that's so sporadic that it doesn't stay consistent. And it's like, yeah, I like these habits and these routines for yourself in the day. Like, okay. But still just like getting myself there it's so painful.
I know when I'm depressed, like I have to be in it long enough where I get to the point where I want to move out of it. Because fuck, when I'm depressed, like what gets you out of depression is all things we all know. It's all like kind of cliche things that when you're open to them, they have so much meaning and simplicity, and they work, and they're real. Like the tropes that people tell you, it is what gets you out of it. But if you're not fucking open to it,
if you're not willing
it's like,
to get out of it.
Oh, I just need to be grateful. I just need to think about what I'm grateful for.
Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Genius.
Right on.
Yeah, that'll fucking solve this.
This episode is brought to you by Lumen.
What is Lumen? Well, I'm very glad you asked. Lumen is the world's first handheld metabolic coach. It's a device that measures your metabolism through your breath. And on the app, it lets you know if you're burning fat or carbs and gives you tailored guidance to improve your nutrition, workouts, sleep, and even stress management. All you have to do is breathe into your Lumen first thing in the morning, and you'll know what's going on with your metabolism. Then Lumen will give you a personalized nutrition plan for that day based on your measurements. So I downloaded the Lumen app, and I found that I am burning more carbs than I should be, and that my first day of my personalized nutrition program should be a low-carb day. Hard to hear, but necessary if I don't want bad habits to turn into really bad news down the line. One of the things I always wonder is how effective my workouts are for my body. Well, wonder no more. My metabolism sets the pace for my nutrition and workouts, a tailor-made program just for me.
So if you want to take the next step in improving your health, go to lumen.me/Neds to get 15% off your Lumen. That is lumen.me/Neds for 15% off your purchase. Thank you, Lumen, for sponsoring this episode.
Yeah, no, our breakup definitely was my first experience of like actual depression, but I don't think I ever clocked it as that because weed.
Right.
Like because I just
same.
Like you, I found a new friend group and I kind of went on this other expansion without really dealing with how much that hurt. Not just us, but like you said, like Rob, my best friend, I was no longer friends with. And like you and him being gone, and then kind of that whole life being gone.
Like that, dude.
Yeah, like so fast. Like I don't think I dealt with that until fucking recently, honestly.
Wow.
Like, and I moved through it without realizing I was depressed because I just started hanging out with people. Oh wow, Jesus. Yeah, that's where like I learned to fucking mask. Really, it was just like, oh well, all right, I'll just hang out and not actually own what I'm feeling. What are you feeling? What are you feeling? Fuck my story. What are you feeling?
I do a lot of that, man. I like crush my feelings down, and I'm like, let me focus on what somebody else is dealing with, so I don't have to approach it or really look too deep.
Yeah, and then my big one that kind of taught me so much, and now has been ongoing. But like when my parents got divorced, like that was the first time, like as an adult with awareness. I was 25 that I was just like, oh, this is depression. Like this is what people are talking about. This isn't sadness. I had been sad before,
right?
And through our breakup depression, I like happied my way through it. You know, I never really sat in it. But my parents, like, I mean, it was like, oh, I don't want to get up out of bed for months, you know, like and there was this moment where, and there's this moment where like my mom was checking in with me about like maybe you want to get on antidepressants, and no shade to anyone who's on antidepressants. Like for real, that shit is needed if it's needed, right? And literally, if that's what works for you, God bless. I have no shade about it. But in my experience at that time, I was like, I don't need a pill for this. I'm depressed for such a valid reason. Like my whole world just imploded. This is like, I even though I was so fucking depressed, I knew like it felt like an appropriate response to life. I was like, yeah, I'm depressed. Like, yeah, my family was gone in a phone call. Like, oh, we'll never be together again. All my traditions, everything I loved about my family was gone in one phone call. So I knew I had some awareness at that time, like as much pain as I was in and as lost as I felt and as low as I felt, nothing was bringing me fucking joy. I knew like, this actually feels like an appropriate response to this situation. And it took me just being in it long enough, like let it sink lower and lower and lower, which is scary.
Until it's fully integrated.
Until I was fully at the bottom of the fucking ocean, right? In the fucking shadow realm. And then, because my girlfriend at the time, you know, she had been asking me like, you should probably go to therapy. But I wasn't even ready to talk to someone, you know? Like, I'm not ready to fix this. It hasn't landed yet. I'm not at the bottom of this fucking basement yet. And once I did, then I could start to try to pull myself out. And I kind of, it's scary to let yourself sink that low. You know, there's risk in that, but man, sometimes I want people to ask themselves at home when you're going through one of these times, like, what triggered this? And like, is this an appropriate response to a traumatic situation? Because sometimes it fucking is, man. Sometimes your world gets turned upside down and you didn't ask for it. And the depressive episode is appropriate. Like, that makes sense to me. Like, yeah, I'm depressed.
Yeah.
I have to come up with a new fucking foundation of my worldview. Like,
right.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
My whole structure is rearranging.
Right.
Fuck, I'm depressed. I don't want that.
Yeah, and that's tough because that's one where I feel like it's like identity crisis is in there too. Because
Definitely.
Like, oh, my family, what it meant now is gone. So these things that I hold dear and feel like are the makings of me, it's gone. Before I can talk to someone, I want to know who I even am in all of this.
Yes, dude.
To then get direction.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's tough, man.
Wow.
Yeah,
But we
it's
gotta
such a
keep
deep
plugging
one.
away.
Yeah, and now like I still, I mean, I'm just coming out of a fucking depressive winter, to be honest. I think all of us have had.
Winter was wild.
Dude, we're on
like
the same menstrual cycle. Daniel, you're on
We're
it too?
tuned in. I think we're locked in.
Wow,
He
we're
is too.
synced up, guys.
We don't think Daniel, but when I check in with him, he's like, "Yeah, I've been going through it too." I'm like, "Damn, really?"
I've been letting a little bit out.
I'm glad. I want you to. I fucking love, and I want you to know, like, I'm like, please, if you need someone to talk, like, I'm honored and am safe. Like, I would love to know your feelings and would love to know what you're going through, man.
Like, I could find a couple hours.
He's like, I can find some. I can fit you in there, I guess.
No, because Lindsay and I have these calls sometimes that fucking help me,
we
dude.
have great calls about just like, fuck, dude.
I'm just sending memes in the group chat.
Oh yeah, there's a
therapeutic,
tip
though.
for depression and anxiety. Just send memes to your friends.
Yep.
That'll fix it.
Have you seen that thing where it's like you're having a serious conversation on text, but then your meme conversation is just
That's
like
hilarious.
So I feel like as we grow up, or sometimes this happens in people's childhoods, this can happen, and fuck, is this hard to process when one thing after another stack, right? Like so for me, my parents got divorced. A year later, I ran out of money. A couple months later, a massive relationship ended. A couple months later, one of my best friends basically became schizophrenic. Couple months later, grandmother died. Couple months later, Rust. Like, these experiences just kept stacking. So like right as I was able to come up for air and feel like maybe I've integrated the depression I was just in this awful situation, another one, and it compounds. Yeah. And now the new pain is triggering the old wound that you just barely got closed.
Over,
And I feel like this happens to us guys at home. Like, I feel like this can happen to us, and no one has a roadmap for that. It's too much. It's too many feelings. It's too complicated. So depression, in that sense, it makes sense to me. Like, you shut down. It's too much to feel at one time. So your fucking nervous system shuts down.
Yeah.
I feel like for me, this one of the first steps through getting through depression is what I just did, which is just like acknowledge that it has a reason. And this is different from like clinical depression. This is different from you just feel low all the time for no reason. Sometimes you're feeling it and you might not realize what it is, but it's like, oh yeah, fuck, that thing happened 2 years ago and I haven't actually dealt with that. My grandmother died or whatever, the job ended or the car crash or whatever. And like, oh, I haven't dealt with that. No wonder I'm depressed. Like, acknowledge that it's a worthy response some of the time.
Yeah. Yeah. That is a great thing to know, like, how your circumstances are affecting you, how the fact that is appropriate and actually healthy.
Yeah.
And then, what the difference between if you feel that all the time. But
Exactly.
those low feelings are not something to run from. That doesn't mean that it's always depression that's going to last and now you have to find like this other low moods and low feelings have a lot of information in them.
Yeah.
That sometimes I can bypass and call it depression because I do have like a depressive baseline most of the time, I feel like. What the fuck?
Oh
was I just
no,
saying?
that's so good that there's information
Yeah,
in there,
and
and it's
low
hard
points.
to be in it. It's hard to mine that information.
What's the low mood? What is a valid low mood? What is kind of some depression? Where are you just kind of being lazy with your work and like ungrateful? I think all of these things all of the time, and then I'm just like, no, dude, you just have a disorder.
I know it's such a
Because I'm like, am I being lazy? Well, yes, but like,
It's
what
also
have
happened to you. This negative thing took place. It's a low moment.
Yeah, but just then knowing you are valid of having a low moment. Like I find I reduce myself to like either BPD or like some sort of diagnosis that I give myself after each one of these things. And it's like, dude, it just it is what it is. Like it happened.
It's tough. It's tough because like especially in the age of social media, we're thinking that the way I'm supposed to feel all the time is this kind of happy mood. That's all's going well.
True.
And so when you experience those moods that are less than that, you're like, oh God, there's something wrong with me.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just life that it's uncomfortable to acknowledge has just come to, knock on your door and you have to open it sometimes and say hello or goodbye. and yeah, maybe you shouldn't just write it off as immediate depression. It's just a low moment. But
I also
check
think,
in on yourself though.
Yeah, I think sometimes too, right? Like depression can be, there's information in it in regards to sometimes the depression is, like you kind of shared, like you're actually not where you're supposed to or want to be in life. So the depression is information of like, if you're willing to look at it, maybe what do I need to change? Like, what do I need? Yeah, what do I need to change? Something in me, it's not working. Like my arrangement of life, it's not working for me. Who I'm being isn't working for me.
Yeah.
Maybe I need to change something to get more aligned, to come more alive, And
they do talk about also environmental factors. Like some biological factors can predispose you to depression.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's environmental factors too. So if you could identify some of these environmental factors that maybe are weighing on you heavily, ask yourself, identify it, and then say, okay, how can I move away from this so that I don't pour so much of the option for a depressive state? If I can get rid of some of the environments that I'm in that are making me feel bad, people that I am around that are making me feel bad, find out what you can do, some options for you to adjust.
If your depression is yours or just being caused by the people you hang out with.
The arrangement of your life right now. Let's go to some of these comments. Let's see these
the
people.
Community got to
so
say?
You guys had a lot to share. I want to thank you for writing in. There was actually so much on this post. We cannot get to so many of these. But thanks for being brave. I hope it was therapeutic to share some of this. And I hope if you're going through shit, read this community tab. Like, I hope it can help you feel less alone. Like a lot of us are going through these things.
Yeah.
And to I don't know, the people who have like the clinical depression. Sorry, that's just not my experience. So I can't speak on it, you know?
Yeah.
So I wanted to read this one from Sandy Ravage 410. She said, my journey with depression started mainly in 2013 after my mother died of cancer when I was 17. 2 years later, my best friend was suddenly taken in a car accident. The year after, another close friend was shot and killed. 2 years later, another close friend self-deleted. The year after, another close friend OD'd. The year after, my grandmother fell in her home early one morning, and by the time I got off work to check on her, I found her gone. So this is that thing that I was talking about where that back to back to back to back. And so she said, I said all of that to say this. Sometimes you cannot fully make sense of what is. I'm not the most spiritual person, but the only thing I could try and make sense out of all the unexpected deaths surrounding my life and this constant heavy weight upon my chest and shoulders is that maybe God is just testing my will, forging my steel armor to help me navigate the future. Since 2020, I've had 4 years to finally breathe, seek answers, mend, and find myself. It'll be a forever ongoing battle, but that doesn't mean I or you can't get better. The way I navigate my depression is by never fully letting it wrap its hands around me. The more I feel its presence, the more I push back with doing things I love. Music, nature walks, writing, something peaceful to calm the storm, and something creative to express this feeling inside. I just want to repeat that. Something peaceful to calm the storm and something creative to express this feeling inside. That's so good. That's the advice I give others. Do something you love. It's not going to cure the depression, but it's a step away from it, a step in a different direction. Never let yourself become complacent. That's the easiest way for the darkness to creep up on you. Life is an unsolvable pattern of mysteries, and sometimes we have to be the detective ourselves. The more you learn about the waves, the better you'll manage to navigate the ocean.
Wow.
Whoa.
Poetic.
Mm-hmm.
So much.
So good, right?
Wow.
There's
Great.
so much there. Thank you for sharing that with all of us.
So real. I mean, putting
yeah,
on the
thanks,
armor,
Sandy
like the weight
Ravitch.
becoming an armor, like
Mhm.
that's awesome. Yeah. I want to frame that and put it up somewhere.
That is the kind of truth only mined from those depths that you were talking about
Yeah.
before being able to pull yourself out. Like,
Exactly.
you just know when it comes from the basement of somebody's experience. And this is the thing. Like, this person, what is this person's name?
Sandy Ravage.
Sandy found a way to continue living her life after just one of
So
those
much
events would have
death.
been
Yeah.
devastating. One of them.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just lost the plot of what I was saying.
That perspective shift, though,
Yeah.
that she chose to, or they chose to take on. To
Right.
get through
All of those
Yeah.
devastating
And in only
things, and you
4
just
years.
continue forward. Wow.
Yeah.
So it's
And-
possible. So what I'm saying is it's even after all of
All
that,
that.
it's possible.
Yeah. And that was that thing I was talking about, like where she experienced that one after another. Like, yeah, that will disorient your whole life. Like you don't have time to feel through all of that. Like it's hard when it stacks like that.
And I want to say this because that timeline is like, that was all concentrated. Like you're talking about in a 4-year period. That's
Yeah.
wild. Because I was initially going to say, guys, as we get older, we have more experiences, and we're of course introduced to a bunch more experiences that are not the ones you want to experience, but some of these landmarks in our lives, like when we were kids, landmark, graduation, new grade, you got an A+ on this thing, and all these great landmarks. As we get older, some of those landmarks, you look back and it's a somber tone. You're talking about deaths that are happening around you. And they're, of course, going to be more frequently because more of your friends are older as you are getting older as well. It's tough to navigate. Sandy,
Yeah.
you're a saint.
Thank you
making
for
that
those
happen.
words.
I know. Thanks for sharing. That was moving.
That was like her experience and advice. That was great.
Yep. So this comment comes from Cheesy Duck.
Cheesy duck.
Duck.
Let us know out there if you resonate with this. Cheesy Duck says, I always feel like I am an imposter, that nothing I do is ever going to be good enough, and I should just stop trying. I then spiral into a depression episode for a few months until I'm flying into a manic episode where I think I'm God and everything I do is amazing. There's always a sneaking feeling that when people tell me something I did is good, I don't believe them or think they are gassing me up to make me happy. It's really hard to handle, and I'm in therapy dealing with it, but the imposter feeling never truly goes away.
I think what I heard from that is like, good enough for what and good enough for who? You know?
Question to answer.
Where outside yourself have you placed all of your value? My family always used to say, like, there's this expression, good enough for who it's for. And it was usually for one of them or something, but just good enough for who it's for. Like, your best efforts are one of a kind, no matter what. So good enough for what and good enough for who? Is it good enough for you? You're the barometer of that. Or you can be.
Or evaluate, like you said, what external factor you're placing your value on, and then maybe change it or keep it there to set goals.
Yeah.
But you can't be an imposter because there's only like you're
uniquely you.
Yeah, it's impossible for you to even reason through your problems in the same way as another person. So like there's no like you can only ever be in you, you know? So it's like own your own expression, own your instincts, own what you want to offer.
Yeah. I feel like we could do a whole episode on imposter syndrome because it creeps up. I don't have it all the time, but yeah, it creeps up in our pursuits, in my pursuits, like for sure. I like set out on, let's say, like my new music project and stuff, and like, oh fuck, it'll come up.
It's tough. Imposter syndrome is like doubly tough because you've done the hard work of actually setting a goal.
Right.
You know, okay, I think I found out who I should be and work towards. This is my occupation. And then you're in it and you're working, you're making your strides, and then I can't. And so now you're ready to back up and then cut out all of this effort that you put in. It's a struggle.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, let's read this one from Genesis Mercado.
Hey.
I didn't realize that I suffered from anxiety and depression at a low level until I turned 25. And in the middle of my job that was to serve clients, I had a panic attack before going to work because I didn't want to be insulted or have a bad day. Gained weight more than 15 kilograms because I didn't realize that I was eating because I was anxious and not because of hunger. I couldn't be left alone because I cried all day. Now I'm going to therapy and I'm doing much better. Control depression and anxiety differently. All right, Genesis.
Right on.
Way to get into therapy.
Yeah.
Man, it can be such a tool to have someone to talk to.
Mm-hmm.
A neutral person. They don't need you
No
to
stake.
be any type of way other than honest, you know?
I think that's a depression that a lot of people can get on board with the just the low level, just that sort of like nagging,
just
dull
this low
static.
Mm-hmm.
What the fuck?
Dude. Yes.
Yeah,
It's just
in your
this
brain.
static
And
that's at low level in the background. And
you don't even really know that you're not living a full experience of your life. And yeah, then to look at what's happening outside of you. Okay, you like food starts to become sort of something that you're, using to whatever. But right on, Genesis, you freaking got to the bottom of that. So glad you're in therapy. So glad you're doing better.
yeah, therapy.
It is hard
I cannot recommend it enough.
It is hard to arrest that at any point and sort of like get yourself back.
That's such a hard thing with depression and anxiety, right? Is just the fact that it can be happening to you, through you for months, and you might not even be consciously aware of it. Like sometimes that is happening to me. Like, it takes me retroactively to realize, I've been depressed for months, but I wasn't acting as if I was because I wasn't.
I didn't even know.
Yeah,
I didn't know.
Yeah, like I wasn't aligned to my own fucking feelings.
Because
like,
you really can go on to an autopilot,
Yes,
dude.
dude.
And that's what freaks me out about productivity is that you can throw an autopilot on, and that always just makes me nervous. I hate it when I catch myself in autopilot.
Dude, I feel like everyone can do it, but dude, us as fucking kid actors, like my autopilot will look almost identical to me being genuinely happy.
Right.
Like it's just in me to just like I don't like to make my processes or my problems anyone else's usually. So if I'm there's oftentimes I'm in public going through a depressive episode, no one will fucking know.
But yeah, ain't nobody got time for that.
Yeah,
is what
it's
we
not.
say.
Yeah, it's not for anyone. Like,
too.
so I mask, and then I'm on autopilot, and fuck, that can go on for
It's like
Decades at a time.
Spacecraft. Fuck. Like,
Yeah.
god damn.
yeah, fuck. I mean, I was going through some
And
shit.
I would consider you a very aware person, and I would consider me slightly more aware. But the fact, I mean, it's still just like, that's what's happening?
Yeah.
And we're emotionally
Aware.
Yeah.
I know, dude. It happened to me on July 4th. Actually, I was at a really great party. It's my favorite party in LA. There's this big beach party on July 4th, and I was in a bit of a vulnerable place. Was working through a process for a couple months, and wanted to just have a good day. A lot of my friends were there. And I don't know when it happened, and booze was involved, so that can happen. But at some point in the day, there was so much stimuli and so many people talking to me and so much music that I didn't realize it, but I shifted into fucking autopilot mode. And truly, I got home from that party and I was so depressed because I went, where did the day go? Like, I wasn't present for the last 7 hours, but I was having conversations with a ton of people and having these interactions, but I had shifted away from my actual core feeling and into some autopilot fucking mask.
You slipped into your bit.
I slipped into
Wow.
my
And then it
bed.
comes with like, hey, you forgot to address me. I'm back.
Yep.
Now that you got some time to yourself.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Deal
yeah,
with me.
like, hey, been here the whole time, bud. Yeah. Remember these massive feelings of unworthiness and not knowing what to do with your life?
Here.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Hey, dude, and so just for the people who would like some type of option for themselves, they talk about some treatments.
Let's go.
We're not psychiatrists.
Yeah,
right?
no, definitely
So
not.
we can't-
Massive disclaimer, dude.
Yeah, we can't give you any like serotonin reuptake.
We're
you
your
know,
friends
stuff.
just talking about shit.
Yes, no drugs prescribed, but some lifestyle changes they say are able to treat, not cure,
Okay.
certain depressive moods.
Okay.
So options: exercise. I actually have experienced exercise helping me to
Base level. Yeah.
base level. This is for that base level stuff, guys.
Yep. No, if I'm yes,
And
exercise is a huge base level mental health stabilizer.
Exercise does not have to be an hour long. It doesn't have to look like the last exercise class you went to. Literally walk yourself
Yeah.
to the store down the street and turn around and walk back.
And try and
you
be
did 5
present.
minutes today, do 7 minutes tomorrow, do
that
10 minutes the next day. All exercise is concerned with is your ability to be consistent. One good workout is not going to be as good as 5 consistent workouts that maybe don't go as hard. So each day you just kind of like push yourself, but also don't get burnt on exercise. Like, it's such a great tool that I always try to do to perfection and then don't want to do anymore because I haven't worked myself up to that kind of a load yet, or like stamina to be able to.
Consistency.
Don't let perfect be the enemy of good.
That part right there. Amen, brother.
Tattoo it on your forehead.
That part. So yeah, exercise is one treatment option, not a cure treatment. Then they have diet changes. You know,
Yeah.
and I'm only throwing this out here so people don't lock into, oh, I am depressed. Try these things out before
Diet is huge.
your body the tools it needs.
Like, I feel as like, I don't know. I feel like maybe even I wouldn't be depressed. Like, if you really focus on your health, it takes money to do that, like nutritionist and just the supplements that you'd need constantly, and the awareness, because there's so much information out there. But diet is still just not something that I've totally turned the corner on. Like, try to take what I like my greens every day, but
Yeah.
just as far as like how your biology responds to certain
Nutrients.
Yeah.
no nutrients. Like, like, you know, I don't
Literally,
know why
our bodies
humans are
run
made
on.
like that,
we
but they
run on
that.
nutrients, on certain chemicals, and
If there's an
fried
imbalance,
foods and processed foods. Yeah, it's not gonna help support the regulation of your fucking mood.
stop eating fruit roll-ups, Lindsay.
Mountain Dew every day.
Fruit roll-ups. They're like, I fucking love fruit roll-ups. Anyway, sorry, go
Some
on.
people that can do some crazy things with fruit roll-ups. We'll leave that for TikTok.
Oh,
Then alcohol, guys.
Not
It's
good for depression.
Alcohol, and people like to say it's not a drug. It does some things to you, and it will have you all imbalanced and out of whack. And that hangover, it might be an extended hangover you're experiencing. So watch out with the alcohol. Then stop smoking. Doctors are saying maybe limit the smoking a little bit. I
Cigarettes?
know
All
it says
things.
smoking, but I think all things.
Shut the fuck up, Daniel.
Because even the marijuana's, guys. So no drug use. This is if you really want to give yourself that clean slate, and say, am I fully depressed, or do I just need to cut some of this stuff out? And then a regular schedule. They're saying that is a bit of a treatment for that low level. Not major depressive disorder.
Yeah.
But, you can combat some of these depressive states so that you're not stuck in it for too long.
Yeah.
With a couple of these guys, yeah. Exercise, diet changes, alcohol, stop smoking, no drug use, regular schedule, and then you can truly evaluate how locked into that depression you are.
I love that.
I want to give some options.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I want to read one more before we get into tips, just because so many people shared. I feel
So much,
bad. I want to give them more time. Carly Stein said, I'm still not quite sure how to handle my depression, and it comes in waves. One day I'm happier than almost everyone around me, and then once I start to think too much, I break down. I stop taking care of myself. I think a big part of it is feeling like I can't count on anybody but myself, and that loneliness makes me feel like if nobody else wants to be around me, why would I want to be with myself all the time?
Oh.
People always say that your own happiness is up to you, and I want to be happy, but everything around me, growing into an adult, moving out on my own, across the country, losing my long-term boyfriend, cutting off the toxic relationships my mom has continued, missing my brothers and my grandma and the rest of my family, and now basically entrusting that my new friends are truly friends. I think I'm getting through it now, but there's always those days, and at certain points, it's hard to even eat or sleep. I'm truly not sure what to do with the life I've been given, and I'm sure plenty of others feel that way. But after everything, I truly think that one of the main causes of any sadness is feeling alone and like you have no support. Hopefully I can get to the point where I only want and need support from myself. Thanks for sharing, Carly.
Carly,
I think a lot
so
of us can resonate with that.
Wow, thank you for sharing. I also just want to start out with saying we are animals, and as part of the animal kingdom, we really do thrive in community. And so saying that you are going to get to a point where you only want or need stuff from yourself, I don't know that that's even completely healthy. You aren't supposed to be a one-man band here. And you deserve to not just have yourself to rely on. Like, there's no way you can move through this world by yourself. So it's okay to want that from other people. There's nothing wrong with you that you haven't attracted that tribe yet, but there's nothing wrong with wanting that.
Yeah, it's good to build up your self-reliance, self-worth, that independence, but truly we are community creatures. Like, there's some study about that, like the biggest marker for, I think, success or happiness is if you have a good, trusting community around you. So yes, get yourself hopefully to a point where you're self-reliant, but be aware there's an interdependence that we have and are as a species. No one can do this shit alone. Nobody. My life is richer with you guys, and you know what I mean? Like, fuck, I can't be doing all this alone.
I'm sorry that you feel like you have to do this alone right now, Carly. I hope you said something about new friends. I think, the trusting new friends, that goes into trusting yourself. You know what I mean? That you're, not just trusting that you can pick out who, not as a good friend, but just like a little bit of discernment with who you're with. And then, trusting that the universe brought you some good people. If they don't give you a reason to sort of like abandon them, don't, lean into that.
Yeah. And to everyone out there, I don't think any adult fully prepared us for how complicated it feels to grow up. It is such a mess. It's such a mess coming into yourself again and again as an adult after life paths change, or maybe you followed a dream, like you said, moving across the country, that you knew you had to do that, but now all these years later, you're across the country and now you miss those that are back there and you don't know what to do here. And now you're like, oh, was that the right choice? Like, growing up is full of these experiences that are very complicated to feel through, and we do have feelings about them, whether we like it or not, Daniel. Hey. We have feelings about all these experiences. So yeah, I just want to say to all of us out there, growing up is fucking not for the faint of heart. And like, yeah, this is part of it, is us contending with these things. Fuck, man, like, I love so much of my life, but my family is so spread out now. I miss my family every day. My sister lives in Australia. I miss her every day, and I don't know what to do with that feeling. So I can't even feel it most of the time. I have to tuck it away in a little box in my heart. But when I actually think like about Vanessa, I'm like I can't breathe. I miss my sister so much. She's too far away. And I think a lot of us are in situations like that in life that like, it's not going to change right now. There's nothing I can do. There's nothing to fix. There's nothing to solve. That's just a part of my life now, is this missing. It hurts.
Yeah.
It's vulnerable, you know? Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's tender shit, man.
But sending positive vibes to you as you're trying to construct these new foundations for yourself. Growing up is a wild world where your former foundations now have to be rebuilt, and sometimes that's elsewhere without the same tools you had from the beginning. You know,
Yeah.
mom and dad aren't always there, or perhaps they never were. New places.
The tools have become outdated.
Oh, and then you have to, that's what's so hard too, is you have to arrive to your new foundation. Like when you're when you're first growing up, when you're a kid, adolescent, it's kind of happening to you. It's being bestowed upon you. Yep. Your circumstances, your reactions to it, that's just flow. That's just happening. And then things change, your foundations change, and now you, the becoming adult, have to arrive to what's next. Who am I now? What do I want? What is my structure?
What's worth building?
What is worth trying for? Yeah, fuck, it's hard. Growing up is not for the faint of heart, man.
Oh yeah.
But I'm glad I'm doing it with you too.
You guys too. Awesome. Thank you all for sharing your comments. If you want to go read some stories of depression and anxiety and get in on the community, go to the Neds Pod YouTube community.
I hate to say that
tabs.
these are great shares, but
they're pretty gnarly, but they
they're
are
so heartfelt. Like they're so raw.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
And there's a whole bunch of comments on here that I wish we could get to around ADHD as it relates to depression, anxiety, clinical depression,
just do
meds.
another
I feel like we can repeat
health,
this.
yeah.
We can kind of repeat this topic a few
certain
times.
things.
And
If
maybe
you
we
guys
can
care
deal
about
more with
things,
anxiety next time.
Exactly.
The
We were really
anxiety
on
of it.
depression.
Yeah.
Yeah, we actually shouldn't have paired them together because they're actually big on their own.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
and they're different things.
And
they're different
anxiety
things.
being so tied to rejection too, because it's like you're afraid of being rejected. Now there's this anxiety about it. You don't want to enter spaces because you're anxious due to rejection being on the other side. Or you
Exactly.
think it's there.
Yeah.
Anxiety is that worry of the projected future, right? Depression is ruminating on the fucking past. Yeah. Fuck, man.
We'll get through it together.
We're all
We're gonna do it.
Getting through it.
Yeah, we are.
In our ways. Find tools if you can. Take your meds if you need them. Lindsay.
Yeah. No, I'm up to date.
I'm up to date.
I'll start with a tip for depression, just kind of reiterate some of what we said. My friendly words of advice for moving through a season of depression is acknowledge and try and find why it's happening, what triggered it, what feelings are in there, what worries, what concerns, like let yourself be okay for experiencing depression. There's information in there. Like, so start there. Ask yourself and try and check in if you're at the resting place of the experience or if a fresh trauma just happened and you kind of just need to weather the fucking drop. And then once you're at a place that's stable enough, you can start to pull, there are actions you can take and there are behaviors you can take that can start to pull you through to the other side of that experience. Whether it's changing eating habits, exercise habits, therapy, gratefulness, all these things. Like once you're at a place where you want to move out of it, then take some action. Yeah.
Dan.
Oh man. I just want to say this too shall pass. Don't get too caught up in that depressive state, if it's a state.
That's exactly what I texted you when I found out about your parents.
I remember.
And then I remember thinking, why the fuck would you text him that? That's so stupid.
That cliche, yeah. I almost didn't want to say it, but it's factual.
It is factual.
Yeah.
Try not to outfit your rut. As in, like, sometimes I can feel myself indulging in the depression, right? And I'm like, ooh, this rut. Look at this
thing to
nice
blame
little,
it
like,
on.
this little area rug for here. Oh, I bet this will fit in the breakfast nook, won't it? And it's like, I get in there and it's like, because you sometimes have those like 5 seconds where you're like, I could, and then you just indulge back into the depression. Like you have tiny windows during the day where it's like, you could have motivation. You gonna go? You gonna do it? No. Do you know what I mean? So you indulge in that like type of thing. So just like, don't outfit the rut.
I like that. Yeah, I'd say like try and take off try and release some of your identity from your depression and anxiety. It's even if it's been a constant in your life, try and release your identity from it. It can be your experience, but like when you make it who you are, when you believe it is who you are, it's so much. You've basically set it up so it's like impossible to get out of. Because now, not only to move out of it, not only do you have to do something difficult, that's integrating and moving out of depression and anxiety, you would have to abandon your identity. Ooh, no one wants to do that. And identity crisis is fucking brutal.
Yeah. Try on a different outfit, man. Try on a different outfit. Yeah.
Am I just in the middle of an identity crisis?
Most days.
Hey.
Most days.
Well,
me too.
Thanks, guys.
Am I Ned? Am I Devon? I don't know. The lines are blurring. Thanks for being here, listeners.
Thank you.
I love you.
Love you.
Yeah, we'll see you guys next week. For anything we didn't say, I'm sorry. For everything we did say, we did our best.
See you next week.